Good morning, everybody. This is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. I have a design team project for you using love letters. This is such a beautiful paper collection. Vintage, antique, it's country, it's everything. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the other thing is that I really love that you can do different color palettes with this. You have the browns, you have the grays, you have the pinks. There are so many opportunities with this paper. It is just absolutely stunning. Now, I have used this bottom strip of the color paper because I did use some of these for embellishments in another project that you have probably already seen. So that's why that part is missing. I have the little pieces so I can share that I did that. But today, what I did was the first two projects that I did, and I'm not really honestly sure which order they're going to be aired, but I focused more on the browns and the kind of vintagey, wood grain of the papers. This project here, I'm focusing on kind of the grays and the pinks and showing you another color palette that you can totally take out of this paper. And it's, I just absolutely love it. So this project is really fun and it's really easy and it's a really cool little project. Now this is going to be my stacked waterfall folio, and what this came from is a project that I had already done that I thought I was going to do some sort of an insert for an album, and it ended up being, the album ended up being so full anyway that I didn't do the insert. So then I thought, well, what could I do with it? And I kind of expanded on the idea and created a folio. And with this paper collection, I just thought this was absolutely perfect. So we're focusing on kind of the other color palettes that you can get from this pad collection. So this again is Love Letters from Country Craft Creations, and it's an exclusive paper collection. You're going to love it. So let me do a walkthrough with this folio, and then we're going to go ahead and make a shell of it, and I'll show you how to do that. So this folio measures 6 across, 6.5 tall, and it has a 1-inch spine. And I used the, what was it called? Polished Stone, My Colors cardstock to double matte the front and the back covers. I used Artisan white, and I did use 100-pound cardstock because it is a folio and there is no chipboard in here, but you could totally use the regular Artisan cardstock. It's 87 pounds, and with all the pattern paper and everything that you put on it, it's going to be completely sturdy enough for this. On the front, I had these pink doilies that I absolutely have fallen in love with that I got from Target of all places, and they're really good paper quality, and so I use those in the decoration of this album. This is a wooden heart that I covered with some of the pattern paper from this paper collection, and it gives it a little bit of a dimension as well. So I use that, and then I made these two flowers here that I just used flower punches. I scrunched them in my hand, I glued them together, and then I used prills, which are a new product at Country Craft Creations, and I'm hoping you can see that. Let me see if you can see that. They are beautiful little yellow orbs of loveliness that you can put in the center of your flowers, and it really does make your homemade flowers. So I used the same punch, just some different colored papers, and put the prills in there. These flowers, the little teeny tiny flowers and the leaves, were from my stash, and then I had some twine that I used throughout the album, and I created a bow, and I just kind of stuffed that in the flowers as well. And then one of the tickets from the cut-aparts said Valentine's Farm, and I backed that on some of the what's it called? Frosted Rose. I keep wanting to say Dusty Rose. It's not. It's Frosted Rose. My Colors cardstock, and use that as kind of the decoration for the front cover. Now on the front cover, there's also a pocket. So in here, I made a tag, and these tags are from Heartfelt Creations, and I did buy this from Country Craft Creations, and I just absolutely love the shape of this tag. And I know a lot of us have been using them, but they're just really awesome. So I ran this through my die cut, and I cut the pattern paper, and on the back I just used white. of the Artisan cardstock that was left over from making the book, and I just put a deal there. I punched a hole, and then I threaded some of the seam binding from Country Craft Creations in the gray and the pink, and then used some of the twine to tie around there, and it just made a really pretty accent for the front. Now these also will stay in. You can see that the pocket is a kind of a half pocket. It's not connected on this side, but the seam binding closure of this album creates it so it won't fall out. Now the back of this album is exactly the same as far as the pocket goes. I did make another tag with my die and put that in here. And again, it's closed because of the seam binding. The seam binding goes under the pattern paper on the pocket, and that's what closes the album. And then I just used another piece of the ticket backed on the cardstock and just put that on the back. So the back is flat, but the front has the pretty flowers and the hearts and everything. So when you open the album, the first thing you're going to see are pockets. Now, again, I did love the doily thing. I went for kind of the romancy kind of pink thing with this album with the gray, and I just love how it turned out. So I used the doilies, more wooden hearts, and the wooden hearts I got, I want to say at Hobby Lobby, they were unfinished, and I used scraps of pattern paper, glued the hearts onto those, and then just cut them out with a straight edge, and they worked perfect, and they give it dimension. There's lace behind the pocket, so that kind of decorates it up. And then in each pocket, the tags are in the paper collection, so I cut out the tags and back them all on the scraps of cardstock left over from the project. And I did all of the ties the same. I punched a hole, I put the seam binding through, and then tied the ribbon. And then I always, when I tie a bow, I use my fray check to kind of lock the knot so it won't come out. But so you have 6 tags right there. Okay, one of each color in each pocket, and I just think the tags are just absolutely adorable. And then it opens up like this. So on each side you have a photo mat, and in the photo mat is another tag. So I put that in there, same kind of thing at the top, and it slides right behind the photo mat. And then here, the tickets, I fussy cut 2 of them out. I kind of offset them, and I glued them here, and then I glued a little bit on the pink mat of this mat and just glued it so that way you could tuck a picture behind the tickets. So they kind of close the pocket as well, so your tag will stay in place. So I have one of those for each side, and again, I used another tag. And then inside we have a waterfall. Now, the waterfalls actually create the covers of our album. Okay, so they actually create the front and the back of this album. And I had these doilies. These are they were in the same pack as the pink doilies, so I layered those, more hearts, and then that created kind of a really nice embellishment for the front of my waterfall. And then I just created a waterfall here to go with my album. Okay, so that's what we're going to make today. This is a stacked waterfall folio, and let's get started with the tutorial. I think you're going to like it. It's really easy. And again, this idea actually started with a idea I had for an insert with an album, and then it just kind of went from there. So for your waterfalls, now you'll need 2 of these, and I've already made one to kind of save some time. So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 6 by 10 and a half, 2 pieces that are 6 by 9 and a half, and 2 pieces that are 6 by 8 and a half. Now, the 6 by 10 and a half has an asterisk there because what you're going to do is, normally when I make my stacked waterfalls, when I put them in my scoreboard, I score them on both sides. On the largest, longest one, the 10 and a half one, you're only going to score it in one place. You're only going to score it at 4. What that will do is that will fold over. Okay, and that is going to start your waterfall here, but it's going to create the back of your album here, and you don't want another score in the back of your album. This is going to actually create the front part and the back part of your album. So you don't want to do 2 scores, just the one on your 10 and a half. Okay, but the other ones, you will go ahead and score both sides like normal. So these are these are 6 by 4. So we are going to score at 4, and then we're going to turn and score again at 4. So your pictures, you'll just have to cut them down just a little bit, but the pages are 6 by 4. So score at 4, and again, score at 4, and then you're going to be done with that, and then we'll put it together. So grab your biggest piece, and I'm gonna put it down so that my score is more at the left edge, so my top edge. And then we'll fold and burnish. And like I said, I did use the Artisan White, the 100-pound cardstock for this because I wanted it to be sturdy since there wasn't chipboard in it at all. But definitely, if you don't have it, the 87-pound Artisan cardstock and regular in white will work just fine because of all the matting and everything. It will work. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. My score should be at the 4-inch mark. And I'm just going to lay this down. It has a 1/2-inch gusset, so I'm just going to lay it down so that the score at the top of this one will be 4.5. Okay, so that'll give us a 1/2 inch in between our scores. Okay. All right, then open this up. Let's fold and burnish this one. It's usually easier to do this after you've folded and burnished. All right, put glue down this little spine here. And the next score here is lined up at 4.5, so we'll line this up at about 5. That should give us a 1/2 inch everywhere in between all our pages. And our waterfall is complete. So we just need 2 of these. So the last page is not, this part here, the outside, we only scored at the 1 4-inch. We did not score on the other side, okay? So we have our 2 pieces. These are going to end up folding like this. This will be the front cover, this will be the back cover, okay? So then we have to hook it together. So you need 1 piece that's 2 by 6.5. And I scored it at 1/2 inch on each side. All right, so you just do that. So on the 2-inch, score at 1/2 and at 1.5. And then we are going to miter just a little bit. Okay. And then what we're going to do is glue these down to there, okay? So you just grab your glue, put your glue on your 1/2 inch tab here, and then I'm going to lay my waterfall down right just to the score, you know, not in the score because we want to make sure that it folds up, all right? And we're going to glue that down. I'm just going to kind of go in here, glue that down. Then I can go over here, and we're going to cover obviously all of this with pattern paper, so you're not going to see, but that's why we want to miter a little bit because it is going to be on the outside. All right, and then glue this part down here. It's funny how ideas come up. Like I get ideas, and sometimes, you know, they end up in the albums, and sometimes they don't. And that's one of the reasons why I do prototypes, because sometimes you know, you find out, well, something isn't going to work. There's going to be too much going on, or it's not going to close properly or whatever. And then, you know, it can totally spawn another idea, which is what happened here. I expanded on this, so it isn't quite what I had in mind to start with at all. But it did create another idea. So it's kind of funny how that happens. And sometimes I can go days and not have any ideas, and then all of a sudden I get all these ideas. Okay, so there's the spine of our album and then the inside of our album. So then the next thing we're going to do is add our flaps that are going to go on the front and the back, which are going to create these flaps right here. So you will need 2 pieces of paper that are 6 3/4 by 6.5, and we'll put them in our scoreboard. I have one of them kind of ready, and on the 6 3/4, you're going to score, get that in there, you're going to score at 1/2, and you're going to score at 3/4. Okay, so that's going to give us a little 1/4 inch gusset for room for our stuff. Okay, so I'm going to fold and burnish like so, and then we're going to miter a little bit the 1/2 inch tab, leave the 1/4 inch one intact. Okay, so we have that. Now these are going to go so that they fold over our waterfalls. So we're going to glue this basically to the other side of our waterfall, one on each side. So a little glue. This is really simple and easy to put together too, I think. And it has a lot of wow factor, I think. All right. Because it looks like a little album, but it's really not. It's huge. Once you get into it, it is huge. All right. So one on that side, one on this side. A little bit of glue. And don't get it in the scores, just line it up right to the other side of the score. Okay, like so. Okay, yep, we're good. Burnish that down. Yeah, it was kind of fun designing this because the waterfalls end up making actually the base of the album, which was kind of cool. So, okay, so we have our flaps. All right, so then the next thing, we're going to do our front and back pockets. Now these are going to go on the covers, and these pockets here, you need 2 pieces that are 6 by 5.5. Now you're going to have to do a little bit of fancy scoring because one needs to go on one side, one needs to go on the other. So the first one, we'll put with the 6 at the top, we're going to score it 1/2 inch, turn it clockwise, score it at 1/2 inch. Okay. Now the next one, what we're going to do, this is going to fit on the front of the cover because we want the opening, you know, towards like the opening of the album. Okay. So you need a score here and a score here, but we want this part open. The other one will be the opposite. So when you put it in your scoreboard with the 6 inch at the top, you're going to score it 5.5 and then turn it so that you score on the bottom and score at 5. Okay. So it's opposite. Then what you'll do, we'll miter and then we'll fold and burnish. And I'm going to miter kind of sharply on the corners so that it kind of helps with the bulk. And then I put the pattern paper clear into the pocket of this one because it's going to show for a couple reasons. So it's going to show on the whole 2 sides, and then the other reason is that it'll also add stability to your folio covers because you'll have an extra layer of protection and strength there. So that's why I put the paper all the way in, and I did double mat it because I wanted to use the polished stone My Colors to kind of bring out the gray in this paper because I was really loving that color palette. All right, so fold and burnish our pockets, and then before you glue it down, I went ahead and did a corner round. So I'm just going to do that, and you can do any you know, shape corner round you want, but you can see how they're opposite from the back side. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and glue those down. So this will glue towards the spine, and you'll have the top area and then the side area here open, and it just glues right to the edge. Okay, so the front of the album right to the edge. Don't go into the spine. Okay, let me open this up. There we go. You see my flaps opened up. I'll go down like that. Glue that down. Okay, so again, that also helps create stability on the front and the back as well. Okay, oops, get that closed up. All right, and then we'll do the back pocket. And I just thought it was a fun thing to have an element, you know, of a tag on the front and the back cover too. That was kind of fun. A way to add a few more things to your album. And if you wanted to, you could even add more. I mean, there's just so many opportunities. All right. So now what you should have, if we close this up, front of the album, you have your pocket here. Back of the album, you have your pocket here. Now, before you put your pattern paper on, I went ahead and put my tie right in the middle. So let's go ahead and just do that. That will remind us that we need to add our seam binding for our closure. So this is 6.5 tall. So we got to go about 3 1/4 from the center. Okay. Put a little piece of score tape. That'll just remind us that we need to do that before you add your pattern paper. Okay. All right. So that's going to be for the closure. Now, the last thing that we need to do are the inside pockets. So the inside pockets go on these flaps right here, right on the front, and then everything will close up and you'll have plenty of room. So you have 1/4 inch gussets here for your waterfalls, and then you have between these two, you should have a 1/2 inch here so you can decorate your pockets if you want to. So your inside pockets are 2 at 7 by 3.5. And you're going to score at 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2 on all 3 sides. And again, miter, and I'm going to miter sharply on the corners so that we can kind of get rid of the bulk. I've got one ready to go. And then we're just going to fold, burnish, and glue that down. And again, I'm going to put my pattern paper all the way into the pocket so that I can help with the stability of the book. Okay, so a little bit of glue. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. If you want to just use pattern paper, you know, part way down, you totally can do that. Use the tape trick for the bottom tab. All right, so that you can cover up the tabs. And I'll show you that on the next pocket that I do so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll open it up so I can burnish it down really good. Okay, so if you're going to do and not put your paper all the way down in the pocket, okay, we're going to do the tape trick. So the first thing you're going to do is put your glue down on the bottom only. Don't do the sides. And then lay it down. Make sure you're not in any scores. Okay, so we're going to lay that down. Okay, and then you open it up. And then if you're going to just use pattern paper here and here and leave this alone, in order to help your tags go in and out without, you know, getting stuck or hung up on the tab, you just put a little piece of Scotch tape over top, and then that will help your tags slide in and out easy. And then go ahead and glue up your sides. Okay. And then after we get this glued up, then we're done. Then it's just a matter of going to town on decorating and papering and making tags and whatever else you want to slip in the pockets, because we are done. This is how you make a stacked waterfall folio. And it turned out really, I think, absolutely beautiful. Again, the love letters papers, because of the color combinations in this paper, are just gorgeous. So on the previous projects that I had done, I focused on more the browns. This one I wanted to focus on the grays and the pinks, and I think that it turned out absolutely stunning. So on here's your tie closure on the sides. You'll have a pocket in the front. You'll have a pocket in the back, and then when you open it, you will have your 2 inner pockets here, so your flap pockets. And then when you open it up here, you will have 2 opportunities for photo mats. And I kept it that way because there is only a 1/4 inch gusset, so I kept the decorations somewhat flat. These are a little bit raised, but not too much. put a tag behind the picture, and then you have your waterfall, and you have the decorative element here. Now you could use anything you wanted. You can use your Cricut silhouette, cut out some hearts. I had these that I got from Target, and I just absolutely loved them, so I wanted to add that too. I think the white tied in with the white Artisan cardstock that I used, but then again, I also used my colors in polished stone, which is the silvery gray here, and it's just really pretty. And then I used the frosted rose as well throughout this, so I think it really picked up on the grays and the pinks. So that is my project using love letters from Country Craft Creations. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. If you feel like liking and subscribing, that would be great. And please visit Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com. They have this paper and a ton of other exclusive papers that you will not find anywhere else, and I think you're going to love them. So thanks for watching. Have a really good day. Stay crafty. Bye-bye.